Hemp is a favorite crop, and the fiber is cleaned by beating it thoroughly, which is a real hot job. Women work all day twisting the fiber into threads, and the threads into rope.
Greetings, my name is Rob Clarke. I am an ethnobotanist. Ethnobotanists study the relationships between traditional cultures and the plants they use. This time I'm in Turkey, searching for the golden fiber. On this trip I began in Istanbul. I searched for hemp textiles, the women who still weave them, and the last hemp farmers. In my extensive travels, I've learned that there are very few remaining hemp cultures. The declining markets for hemp fiber, substitutes made from plastics, and confusion with drug production have reduced cultivation worldwide. The Turkish countryside is beautiful and steeped in ancient history. There are amazing ruins everywhere, recalling the deep culture of this crossroads region. Hemp has been used in Turkey since Greek and Roman times. When I reach a foreign land, I always need a translator, so I called a local friend. She was familiar with her native region, and we planned a trip to local villages. Along the way, we always stop in at antique shops. Here we find tools for spinning and weaving hemp fiber, and occasionally also traditional textiles. Wherever I traveled, I met helpful people who assisted me trying to find the active hemp culture I was searching for. Hemp fiber was largely spun and woven to make textiles for home use. One of the most important uses for hemp is to make grain sacks. Smaller ones are used for transport and larger ones for storage. Sacks are decorated with motifs, celebrating both local life and also protecting the harvest. Another important use is to make large tarpaulins for drying and storing grains. Women also wove smaller rugs for home use. These are often highly decorated, and they were saved for the daughters and granddaughters to remind them of their traditional culture. Although hemp was traditionally used within the home, it was also grown to make rope. Rope was sold to traders for outside income. One farmer told us that rope had built his home. In some regions, farmers also grew hemp to sell to local twine and paper factories. By the time we had visited, these were no longer operational, and the market for hemp fiber had collapsed. In our travels, we had found many hemp textiles and spoken with the women who had woven them. However, we had found no active weaving traditions and no hemp farming. By the time I returned to Istanbul, I wondered if I would ever find hemp growing in Turkey. back in Istanbul, I found out our rug repairman had located hemp farmers in a village near his hometown, and he introduced me to a friend of the family. She was returning that week to visit her grandparents and took me along. Traditional hemp farming is still done today as it has been for centuries. Except for plowing with a tractor, everything is done by hand. Fields are plowed and manure is added before the seeds are sown. Seedlings appear within a week and grow rapidly in the warm spring sunlight. During the next 6 months, I visited many times to follow the course of the crop cycle and record all the stages of traditional hemp fiber processing. I had finally found the active hemp growing culture I had been searching for. Once the crop reaches the canopy stage, no light can reach the ground, and herbicides are not needed to control weeds. Hemp crops are resistant to insect pests, and very few of economic importance are ever seen. This is a Turkish fiber hemp field. Hemp has been grown here for centuries. It's a traditional crop. This is a land race. The farmers collect seeds from these plants and grow their own seeds every year. Here on the edge of a hemp field, we see that plants have a lot of branches. They're in full sun, as you can see. This plant has developed quite a few branches. We also have a male plant. This plant is shedding pollen. You don't see any now because it's been a windy day. It's all blown away. And these pollen grains will fertilize the female plants. Females are just now beginning to flower. There are no obvious female flowers. But in 2-3 weeks, there'll be plenty of flowers, and these males will still be flowering and will pollinate the females. That's where the seed crop comes from, and the sowing seed for the following year. Inside the field, the plants are not so branched. So we can get in here and take a look. These, as you can see, are quite tall. Some of these are nearly 3 meters already. And the suppression of branches, the crowded growth, causes the stalks to elongate and the fibers to be long and supple. This is the highest quality fiber, the fiber harvested first with the younger plants. As the plants age and become up to 4 or 5 meters tall by the beginning of August, the fiber will be a little bit more coarse, the bark a little thicker. When the crop is ripe, the stalks are pulled from the ground by hand and laid in the sun to dry before removing the leaves. leaves are removed from the stalks, they fall to the ground and are recycled back into the earth. Dry stalks are taken to a retting pond and immersed in water for 1 to 3 weeks. Water flows continuously through the retting pond and is released slowly back into the stream. This process is no different from leaves rotting on a forest floor. During this time, bacteria dissolve the sticky substances that attach the fibrous bark to the woody core of the stalk. When the retted stalks are dried again, they are taken back to the home and the fiber is peeled by hand. stalks are removed from the retting pond and dried in the sun, they are broken and the fiber is peeled away. The wood that's left over is used for kindling. Nothing goes to waste in a village. After the fiber is peeled from the stalk, it's combed to remove some of the little bits of fiber and bits of remaining wood. Then it's ready to be spun. It's in a nice parallel form, can be worked with very easily. Finally, I had found the golden fiber I had been searching for. First, the hemp fibers are spun into smaller yarns that are then twisted together until the final diameter of the rope is reached. In this region, hemp rope was made for use by the Ottoman Navy. Rope is made by several different techniques, just as it has been for centuries. There are many similarities between each hemp culture everywhere I have studied, based largely on common strategies for bringing the fiber to a spinnable condition.
Sal bakayım. Sal. Bük, 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 bük. 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 Şurayı aç. Atlat onu.
Cooperation between villagers is key to success, and many hands make light work. Farmers employ culturally and environmentally practical methods suited for each local region. We have learned that growing hemp is relatively easy, but all the way from the harvest through the extraction of the fiber, it requires a lot of manual labor. So what we see here is a female plant. This is a seed plant. The other product of a hemp field is the seed, of course. This seed will be saved to grow next year's crop. This is what we call a landrace. This is a traditional variety they've grown here for many, many years. The farmers keep the seed from their own crop and sow it again the next year. This doesn't involve seed companies. This is the way farmers have kept their varieties alive for centuries. At the same time, these are male plants. These have died. They've released their pollen to form the seeds in the female plants. But these are also of value. These still are good for this fiber, which is extracted from them just like it would be from the plants harvested a month ago, 2 months ago for their fiber content. Okay. So here you can see the flowers. Each individual flower has a seed inside. They're quite obvious here. In this region, seeds are only grown for sowing the next year's crop. There is no use for food, feed, or seed oil. What we see here is farmers threshing the seeds from the female plants. They've been pulled from the ground, laid in the sun for 2 to 3 weeks. They turn brown and dry, and then it's very easy to remove the seeds from the plants. Back in the day, they would have been threshing on a hemp tarp. These days, everything's made from plastic. plants have been harvested, dried, then threshed to remove the seeds and break up the flowers. Now they're sieving these broken bits of flower to remove the seeds. This is the final stage in processing seed hemp. After the seeds are threshed from the flowers, the remaining trash is burned. It is a great pleasure to share with you our quest for the golden fiber, and we hope you have enjoyed it. 2 years have passed, and we continue to work with local farmers, encouraging them to grow hemp as they have for generations. Farmers harvest hemp fiber in the summer and seeds in the autumn, saving them for sowing the following spring. Turkish hemp remains relevant today because Hemp Bouquet creates a market for farmers' products, rewards them for their labors, and celebrates their traditional culture. Hemp gives us hope.